Thomas had worked for 15 years. He had contributed 15 years into the practice, and he was made the director of his department. And Stephen barely finished from school, just a year, and he got into the practice as well. But Stephen's problem was that he came with a higher degree than Thomas, who has been there for over 15 years. And Stephen started plotting this mischief. He wants to take Thomas out of the way. And the day he was planning this, he was called upon to prepare a patient for surgery. Rather than focusing on that, he did not. He was planning his mischief. Along the line, he gave the wrong anesthetic to the patient that nearly cost the life of the patient. His license was withdrawn and he faced a lawsuit. Why am I sharing this story? What can we get from that? Sheer envy. In our readings of today, Jesus told a particular laborer, "Why are you envious?" "Because I'm generous." And what is envy? It's a deadly sin. One of the 7 deadly sins, for which pride, greed, wrath, lust, gluttony, and sloth is part of it. Let us dissect this parable. When Jesus said, "Why become envious? Because I'm generous. I have not wronged you, because they agreed on a particular wage. And am I not free to spend my money the way I want, especially seeing another brother who is out there who has nothing to feed his family, bringing this brother into this vineyard to work so that they can earn something? Why are you envious?" In our own human understanding, we have a concept of justice. But in God's dictionary, in God's consciousness, God's ways are not our ways. Isaiah said that right away in the first reading of today. God will be who God will be. The generosity of God is not dependent on our rules and regulations. Sometimes, how do we check our own envy? How do I know if I'm envy? Maybe a few questions could help us. Am I glad when someone else receives something special, someone is praised, or someone shows a talent? How is my attitude? Do I look with the eyes of God by desiring the good of others? While I was preparing for this reflection, something told me to check the original text, the Greek text of this gospel reading. And the word Jesus said, "Why become envious? Because I'm generous." It actually translates, "Is your eye evil because I am good?" Is your eye evil because I am good? What does that mean? That I don't see any reason why someone else should have God's goodness. I only see the reason why the person should not have it. You remember 2 Sundays ago and even last week, we read about how we should live in the community and how people should forgive one another. And that to forgive one another and to live in love, vices like this should not find a place. Vices like envy or jealousy or any of the 7 deadly sins. Dear friends, the focus of our parable today is more to meditate on the generosity of God rather than being envious. Let us count our blessings and share in the joys of one another. More importantly, there is another bent to the parable of today. You notice that the landowner invited people into his vineyard at different hours of the day, in the morning, noon, and towards evening. What does that mean? The grace of God is there for us. As human beings who come to this grace, sometimes we embrace it at different levels of our lives. Our life journey can be likened to a long walking day. Some people will come to embrace the grace of God in the morning time of their life, some in the afternoon, some at noon, some in the evening, and some at the night time of their life. But there is a bit of caveat here, not to wait to the night time of our life. There's a reason why in our first reading, Isaiah is saying, seek the Lord while he may be found. Seek the Lord when the Lord is still available to you. And even St. Paul corroborates that in today's second reading. He was in prison when he was writing to the people of Philippi. And he's saying that either in death or in life, I will choose Christ. And he gave them a very important line there. To conduct yourself in a way worthy of the gospel of Christ. Conduct yourself in a way worthy of the gospel of Christ. What is this way? It is to seek the way of God, to seek the face of God, the generous God. And what is the essence of God? It is love. To always seek the face of God every day of our lives. Dear friends, we are invited to share each other's joy without envy, to shun crass individualism,